very, very different pieces. If you will it is no dream. The title is interesting because it's about that whatever you want is possible. This album for me with Ashkenazi, it's a dream.
In a piece that you conduct or play, you look for the inner expression of what the composer would like to tell you about what he thinks about the world, about our existence, about what he understands about his contribution to our existence.
And then we've got a symphony that is called The Big Bang and Creation of the Universe, the big piece that has got a bit of everything because it's 3 movements. So the first movement, light, purity and pure beauty. The second movement is called peace, but actually it's peace with a lot of darkness and a lot of drama in peace. Then the last movement, Adam and Eve, is like a dance. And then you go to violin concerto. The violin concerto, it's really one against everybody, and so it's very fiery.
It's very, very special way of composing, very special music. It touches very deeply my soul. It lets me do so much with the instrument, with the violin.
I always look for that in every piece I do and decide how I interpret in my own way. I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but at least I try to interpret it as I understand it, what I think composer wanted to contribute.
This CD has a special meaning for me because it's in the memory of a good friend, Tzvi Meitar, to whom 2 out of the 3 works are dedicated, and who was a great philanthropist and always supported me. So it's a beautiful memory to have.
I welcome you to Anselmo Academy of Music and the Arts live broadcast and greatly appreciate you tuning in support of this platform. Today, we present Nimrod Borenstein, esteemed composer and conductor from UK. And you just heard an excerpt from his Shandos album with Vladimir Ashkenazi conducting Oxford Philharmonic Orchestra. And in this album, there is a concerto for violin and orchestra, Opus 60, with Ermina Trinkos. Wonderful. We will feature our guest bio dialogue photos and videos, and we have a pre-recorded interview with Nimrod that was recorded in late July. But first, we have brief announcements. If we can please have our fall semester flyer. We have started enrollment into the fall semester for private lessons in the middle of July. The enrollment is ongoing. We welcome all interested students to connect with us regarding your private lessons. We conduct lessons in New York and New Jersey in multiple instruments. Anselmo Academy is a nonprofit 501c3 organization. We have started our 26th school year in July, and we specialize in organizing private and also group classes and multiple local schools and organizations. This past academic year, we have served hundreds of students a week through many partnerships and relationships we have with these organizations and local schools. These programs are, such as general music classes, along with small group classes in piano, violin, guitar, musical theater, choir, recorder, and more. Um, please subscribe to our social media channels, social media platforms, and also subscribe to our two e-newsletters that you can find at anselmoacademy.org at our website at the very bottom right. We have two e-newsletters. One is called Academic Newsletter that comes out in the beginning of each month, where we feature all internal programming and events, with the various updates. Excuse me. And a second newsletter comes out over the end of the month, is called On Stage, where along with our internal happenings, we feature events like you see this one today, where we invite international esteemed musicians from around the world to share their musical journey and share their performances, compositions, and more. We hope you enjoy our program today. Great. If we please could have uh, Nimrod picture on the screen so that I go through his bio. Wonderful. Thank you. The past few years have seen a great number of Nimrod Borenstein's work being commissioned, recorded, and premiered at some of the most prestigious venues and festivals across the globe, from the Royal Festival Hall and the Royal Opera House to the Zal Gabor Carnegie Hall and Hong Kong City Hall. Among his high-profile champions, Vladimir Ashkenazy has conducted several of Borenstein's compositions, culminating in the recording of an album of his orchestral works for Chandos Records, which is BBC music magazine Choice. Other leading artists who have performed his music include Pascal Roger, Roberto Proceda, Dmitry Sitkovetsky, the Quartetto di Cremona, the Philharmonia Orchestra, the BBC Philharmonic, the Oxford Philharmonic Orchestra, the Israel Camerata Jerusalem, the Belgrade Philharmonic Orchestra, the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra, and the English Chamber Orchestra. Nimrod Borenstein is a laureate of the SIFRA Foundation and an associate of London's Royal Academy of Music. His substantial catalog currently numbers more than 100 works, including orchestral and chamber music, as well as vocal and solo instrumental pieces. He also composed the score for the ballet Suspended, which has received more than 250 performances around the world. In recent years, he has been commissioned to write the obligatory performance piece for the Hong Kong International Piano Competition 2019 and the International Jeunesses Musicales Competition 2020. Increasingly in demand on the podium, he has recently performed in many countries, including the UK, France, Italy, Bulgaria, Finland, and Cyprus. During the past 12 months alone, Nimrod Borenstein has recorded 3 albums as conductor, an album with the English Chamber Orchestra featuring his mandolin concerto, Shakespeare songs, and oboe concerto, a recording with the Cyprus Symphony Orchestra, including his Legends of Cyprus, alongside works by Antonin Dvorak, Franz Schubert, and Samuel Coleridge Taylor, and a recording with the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra, including his cello concerto number 2. This follows an earlier album with the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra released in 2023, featuring his piano concerto, commencing on 2 of his albums. Gramophone magazine described him as amongst the most recorded of the contemporary composers in the UK and noted that Borenstein is no mean conductor and the English Chamber Orchestra have a long history of excellence, while Opus Classique hailed him as an inspired composer, but also an inspiring conductor. Very well. Our next video is a recording with the English Chamber Orchestra with his Concerto for Mandolin and Orchestra Opus 97, Concerto for Oboe and Orchestra Opus 98, and Shakespeare Songs Opus 101. Take a listen.
I love concertos because I think that it's a form about struggle and courage.
Nimrod delivered a concerto which is very demanding, very hard for the soloist, but at the same time, everything is 100% playable and very clear for the hands.
It's always nice to have something fresh and new that's, just sounds a bit different, doesn't sound like anything else that you've sung before.
I like the style of his music because it's innovative, but it's still very close to the human feeling, and I think people love listening to this kind of music.
What is really new in my concerto is that I treat the oboe like you would treat the piano or violin. I mean, it's the oboe.
Wonderful. And now we have the pre-recorded dialogue with Nimrod. Welcome, Nimrod. We are very happy to meet you today, and thank you so much for joining us at Anselmo Academy of Music and the Arts. Nimrod Borenstein is a composer and a conductor, and we are here to talk to him so that he can share with us his life journey as a musician, well-esteemed musician in the world of classical music today. Okay, very well. So please tell us about your life story, your journey of becoming who you are today. The stage is yours.
Okay, so, summarizing your life, it's difficult. But what I said to I've got two daughters, one that is almost 16 and the other one is 22. And I always tell them, because, that's the age, it's a difficult age. It's the age, especially 22, when you start your career and your journey in life. And I always say life is a marathon. It's not a sprint. And so when you say about music, I cannot remember a time before music. Because I started music when I was 3 years old and I can't remember it. So I know the story that my parents told me, but that's about it. And even I started to compose when I was age 6. So there's not even a life for me before composing. I sort of remember I have got some memories of doing some music theory when I was 4 years old and learning all the clefs, and it was very tough. But you know, not much. But for me, it's always been about music. And I loved other things in life. I was very good in mathematics. And for me, music is like mathematics with feelings in some way. But it happened gradually. So if you know, with time now, I think so. I discovered music when I was 3. Outside in an outside concert. We were on holidays with my parents. And then apparently, I said to my parents that I was going to be a musician. And after that, it's been sort of from age 3 to age probably 20 or something like that. It's been about being the best musician that I could be. So it was about learning and being desperate to be better and better and better and better. And after that, it's a journey of an artist. You know, sort of it's there are ups and downs. And but what is important, I always thought, is what you produce. And up to a certain age, my only goal was to create something that I would think was as good as my God, so that I would think, okay, it's as good as Beethoven, or it's as good as Mozart, or as good as Brahms, and no, I didn't care about anything else. So fame, money, nothing. I just didn't care about anything else, and it was just until I was quite old, sort of. It's not 15, 30. You know, you pass through an age where you still need to earn a living on something like that. It's not that age 20 is easy, but still everything else was in the background in a way. And I think that it still is in some way. I think that that for me, the creation of beauty and absolute beauty is the most important thing. If you ask about a date that was important for me in that long story, I think that actually it's funny because 2 weeks ago, I recorded a CD, a new CD that will come out in March with my second cello concerto. I was conducting the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra, and the cellist is Sifei Wen, and she instigated the CD. She wanted to record a lot of my music for cello, but on the CD there are 3 pieces for cello and piano, and there's a cello piano solo piece. So it's a CD about my music for cello, basically. And I'm saying that because one of the pieces is called The Magic Mountain, and it's my opus 30. And it's a piece for cello and piano that I wrote when I was probably around the age of 30. I can't be totally sure. I could check, but around that. And after I wrote that piece, I thought I can die happily because I wrote one piece that is as good as Beethoven or Brahms or whatever, you know. And that for me, psychologically as a person, was a turn. I mean, music is composing, because being a performer or being a composer are 2 different things. If a performer, doesn't matter if you are a violinist like I was or a conductor, it's still performing. You perform music that is great, and you have to live through it, but the greatness is already there. When you compose, there is nothing there, and there are no tricks, there is no technique, there is nothing basically, and it's a different field. And so for me, even, you know, you've got your past, so you think, okay, now I'm writing a piece that is, I think, opus 110. So I have many pieces in my past. But when I'm going to write my next piece, which will going to be on opus 111, I will be scared, because the white page is scary. It's like, so if you think, okay, what if it dries out? Because there is no guarantee, and you know, you take even the greatest of composers, sort of Mozart, Bach, and not all the works that they write are masterpieces, which really shows that there are no tricks. And you think, I mean, I don't want to think about that, but you think about people like Sibelius, that he didn't write anything in the last 20 years of his life or more. That is scary. So I don't know, sort of it's, but on the other hand, I think that if I don't write music, I feel depressed. I feel, because it's, in life, I think that's the role of art in general, whether it's as someone that is not an artist that is listening to art or watching art, or the one that is producing it, is creating absolute beauty. Our world is imperfect and is a difficult one to live, especially because there is death. And so the fact that we're all going to die is not so problematic as that the fact that people that we love will die. And I think to deal with that, music or painting or literature can give a type of sublimation of this hard part of life by absolute beauty. And there's a difference between decorative beauty and beauty with a B, or sort of and I think that that's what it gives me a meaning in some way. It's beautiful escape.
May I interrupt? Just wanted to hear a little bit more about your who inspired you the most. You did mention to me about your father, but maybe some teachers, and maybe mention where you grew up, etc. A little bit of a background to add to.
Yeah. So I grew up in France, and I think that as a musician, I should divide the people that inspired me as performers and people that inspired me as composers. The composers that inspired me the most when I was very young were probably the German school. So Mozart, Beethoven, Brahms, they were the people, Bach, that I aspired to. And these were my great teachers in some way, their music. And for performers, well, on the piano, because I loved Rubinstein and Horowitz. That's where sort of I used to I mean, we were not very rich. My dad was an artist, so I used to use tape and record the radio, and I had various versions of the same piece, same concerto by lots of different players. For example, there's a beautiful version of the Schumann piano concerto with Furtwängler conducting and Gesecking on the piano, and it's quite magical. And and then Jascha Heifetz and Menuhin, Oistrach for the violin, and Pablo Casals for the cello, and the many of these performers. I think that as a composer, it's dangerous to be influenced by people that are too close to your own time in some way, because then you are most likely to make a copy rather than being inspired by the greatness. I always think that in some way, well, as a composer, the most important thing is to create something that is new. So there's no, you can't copy. So for me, when I was, I started to compose when I was about 6-year-old. And when I was about 9-year-old, I mean, I told that this story many times because it helps me to explain what I wanted. At that time, I knew Shostakovich and Prokofiev. I loved them, but I had not come across, because I was only 8, or Schoenberg. And I created my 12-tone system for myself, being very proud to have invented that, not knowing that it had been done before. And I remember it must have amused adults very much, because when I went to see the director of my own conservatoire, and I told him, well, look, I found this new thing. He just said, well, you're not the first. And I was very annoyed about that. But it's, I think that so Beethoven, even sort of my music, I mean, if you listen to my music, you will see it doesn't sound like Beethoven. It doesn't sound like Mozart. It sounds a lot more modern than Stravinsky. It sounds like nothing else, I think, apart from my music. But you can admire composers that are far from your time for different reasons, and then you admire them but you don't copy them. I think that for performers, it's a little bit different first because we don't have this big history, because the history starts with the recording. So in the 1920s, maybe. So we only have 1 century of recordings. I mean, imagine if you could hear Chopin play, or, that would be fun. And which is one of the reasons that maybe will come later, why I have decided in the past few years, and there are many recordings of me conducting my works, because I think, imagine if you could listen to Brahms conducting symphonies or Beethoven. It's when you've got the medium, it doesn't mean that people need to copy it, but it gives an idea of what's the essence of the thing. So, yeah, for me, my gods when I was young were Beethoven and Bach, I think.
Very well. So my next question is about musicians today. What do you think that musicians today are striving for, let's say, compared to 50 years ago? And do you like the direction that the classical music is going for in today's world? And if not, what is it that musicians might be missing? Composers, let's say, might be missing.
First, I think that we should change, and we should not accept the term classical music, because it's like talking about Picasso and say it's classical painting. It's ridiculous. Classical music is Haydn, it's Mozart. There is nothing classical about me. And if there's nothing romantic either. Sort of, it's a different period of time. So I know that we use this word, but words have a meaning and have a way to influence ourselves, and we shouldn't use that word. We should maybe just call it music.
Okay.
But apart from that, I think that you were asking about the direction in general, but you mean the direction of composers or how music is played?
Yes,
Well,
directed composers.
Well, I think that it's in some way, direction or something like that. It's almost like a Marxist idea of music, thinking that music has a way to go, like a history. There is a sense of history, and I don't buy that. I think that great composers are unique, and they are not you shouldn't follow them. And there is not someone that looks like Schumann after Schumann, or before Schumann. There is not someone that looks like Beethoven before or after. They are a great oasis of beauty. It doesn't mean that we stand on giants from before, but so on. I'm sort of maybe selfishly a bit like Chopin was, more concerned about what I produce than what is around. But no, I don't mean it in a bad way. I think that realistically, when you look at a period of time, there are not many composers per century. Actually, I was talking to my daughter, my eldest daughter, that she's a writer. If you compare to writing writers, or you compare to artists like my dad, there are probably thousands of good writers, if you take different countries, that you should know in history. At least hundreds. Same for painters. I mean, only the Italian Renaissance, and there are probably 200 that are each of them amazing. Composers, we are found few. There are very, very few of us, and probably you could name 50 composers, and that's it for the history of music. A little bit more, but not that much more. So I think that, I don't think that is going to change. I have no idea why. But I don't think that things that have been a certain way for 400 or 500 years are likely to change. Statistically, maybe sort of music is so much more demanding in a certain way of technique. I mean, sort of, if you think about writers, you've got very great writers that started writing when they were in their 30s and didn't write before. Even artists, I mean, my dad was a child prodigy, but it's not all artists are prodigies as children. In music, it's, I mean, you take away even Berlioz, maybe is the exception, but even, I mean, you know, even the pure technique, and I don't mean it in a bad way, but you know, I compose my music in my head. Even the capacity to be able to hear all these instruments without any help is such a high demand. You could still write terrible music with that because the inspiration is somewhere else, but the technical minimum is very high. So I don't know, maybe it's that, who knows? And to be honest, I think that maybe I should sort of be quite revolutionary in the way that I answer you. I think that that good art will always survive whatever we do because it got nothing to do with how much help we give it. I think that in our modern age, we think that that the state should sponsor and help the creation of new works, and I understand what's behind it. But I'm not sure that in the long run, it's a healthy way to do it. And as a composer, you're probably not going to hear any other composer saying something like that. But if you think about the 19th century or I mean, in the time of Bach, it was terrible because there was no democracy and basically Bach was a slave of the prince around. So I'm not talking about this time, but I'm talking about the time post the French Revolution where there was a type of freedom. And I think that doing real art is always a struggle. And it's a struggle because if you are good, you are going to do something that is very different of anyone else. So 99% of the composers will do something that is not like you and may hate you because of that, because you are the minority and the tiny minority that disturbs them. And there's nothing that we can do to change that. It's in the nature of things, and this struggle is just there. I'm not judging it morally. We can. I think that what we should really do that we don't do. I mean in politics, we should help people with education. The rest, I believe less in the help. But because then, if you have a lot of audience that come to serious music, you don't have all the other problems. Our main problems is that the young have not been given the possibility of discovering great art. Sort of pop music is everywhere, but the schools, and it's worldwide. The schools are not doing their job. They should be places where you come from does not matter. If you are rich, poor, who are your parents are cultured, something like that. It should give you the possibility to discover these beautiful things, and it doesn't. And it doesn't matter whether you live in America, you live in France, you live in England. In general, it doesn't do that. So it doesn't give you, it creates inequality, because the real inequality is the inequality of who are your parents. And you shouldn't have to have parents that are cultured, so that culture is open to you. So that's, but again, it doesn't change anything that I write. That's my political views on the thing. It has no effect on my music. I could have terrible political views or good political views. It's nothing to do as an artist. I don't think that it counts. That's my own, and I don't think that it's relevant in terms of what I write.
Quick question. So when you're about to write a new piece, do you imagine the audience that would be listening to your music, whether it's today or 100 years from now? Who are they?
No, I don't want to imagine that. I don't write for that. I think that if I wrote for that, I would do a disservice. You write. I'm someone that I think that musical is a spiritual journey. You don't need necessarily to believe in God, because I'm not a believer in God. I'm an atheist, but it's pure, and actually sort of you do it to create beauty, to do something that you would think is beautiful, and by doing that you give everything, And then there is a chance that other people, we are all human beings and we all live through the same thing. So we have fears, we have love, we have hardship. So if you manage to create something that is beautiful in your own eyes, that you love, there's a chance that other people might love it too. But if you try to please other people, actually you are not pleasing yourself and you're not pleasing other people. It feels even dirty. It's not a practical matter. It should be a beautiful matter that has got nothing to do with anything. It's just creating beauty. But it doesn't mean, as a human being, I'm very, very pleased. In many concerts I have, there's some of the audience know my music, that's why they come, and a big some come because there is a piece of Brahms in the concert or there's a piece of Prokofiev, something like that. And when they come to me and they say, "Oh, we came, of course, we don't want to offend you, but we did not know you. We came for the piece of Brahms, but your piece was amazing. It was something." It's not that my music is better than Brahms. Is that my music maybe is as good but different. So it's a novelty. There's something new taste, like you try a new dish in life. It's but it's not something that you should try to be. You should try to be good. I suppose like it's like the Greeks thought, like Aristotle or Plato, that you should lead a good life, a moral life, and I mean artistically moral life. If possibly, I mean, I think that you should live a moral life as a person. But I mean, you've got people that have lived terrible lives as persons and were great composers. I think about a person like Wagner, but he lived a moral life as a composer. And in that case, that's the most important thing. I think that I'm just desperate to. I don't know, to create new beauty. Mm-hmm. So that's, I thought it's really difficult to explain. It feels obvious. I think that things needs to be pure in some way, in the reason why you do them. You need to, like you love someone, you don't love someone because they are going to give you that, because they are going to help you, because you love them because you love them. And music should be the same. You should do it because you really love it above anything else, and that's what I feel. For me, it's the meaning of my life, I would say.
Fantastic. What would I be surprised to learn about you? Any hobbies? Any what do you do in your spare time if you have any?
Okay, so then I'm quite an extreme person. So normally during the year there's just so much work that there's not enough time for sport. But I like sport, and when comes time like now that finally I will have a bit more time for myself, because there are few weeks where I will just compose. And spend time with my wife, my daughters, and then I tend to do long walks. I talk about 30 to 40,000 steps a day for a few weeks. So like over 25 kilometers a day of walks. So I like sport. If I can, I like tennis. I like playing tennis, of course. So. That's not maybe that's not so original. I like food. I really like food. I like cooking food, and I like food too much, so I've got to go on a diet all the time, because normally I would eat probably 5,000 calories a day if I was not conscious.
What's your favorite cuisine?
The one that I'm good at, but it's thanks to my wife. My wife is Italian. And so when we got together, she doesn't like to cook that much, but I love cooking. And so she taught me how to cook. So like it's a best deal, because I learned how to cook well in Italian food, and she doesn't so much like to cooking. So we all got something from that. And so I cook a lot of Italian things, which is a healthy food to cook.
So, yeah.
I love Japanese cuisine, but not capable of doing it myself. So that's in restaurants. The same with Indian food. But again, there are sort of, at least, whether it's Indian, Chinese, or they are sophisticated cooked. So it's like French cuisine or something like that. It's not something that you've got to be good at it. And I don't know enough about it. But so at home, we tend to cook Italian, so a lot of risottos, various type of pastas, and things like that.
Fantastic. Wonderful. So we're now going to move to a picture gallery.
Okay.
Pictures that you've sent us. So tell us a couple of words about each one as we go through.
So show me the first. Oh, so that's one is a recent one. I loved the photographer that managed to take it. It was a concert that I was conducting the English Chamber Orchestra. And I'm not sure which piece it was. Maybe it was some Elgar, or it could have been my piece. Who knows? You've got this type of gesture in any music. And it was a beautiful concert, and they are an amazing orchestra. And I really especially like the picture. It's it's not easy to capture the moment.
When did you start conducting?
Actually, I always done it. I done it from even when I was a child. But when I was young, I thought that I would do two careers. I would do the career as a solo violinist and a composer at the same time. And then in my 20s, I discovered that there is not enough time per day to be good at the violin and compose. Compose takes a huge amount of time. And so I decided that I would not do that. And in the same way, I thought I didn't want to have a career like Mahler, where he could compose only the summer. I thought that that would make my life a misery, because if I don't compose for a couple of weeks, I start to be a bit down. If I don't compose for months, I'm someone that you don't want to live with. I start to be really, really down, because it's like life becomes meaningless to me. So I thought, no, I will not do the full conductor career. But it's about, but I always done a little bit of it. And it's about maybe 4 or 5 years ago that I decided to do more of it, because, you know, midlife, and I can choose more what I want. And also I've got this feeling that, and a lot of conductors' friends told me that it's nice to leave a legacy. So it's part of really loving doing it, and also the legacy part.
Okay, next.
So that's also a conducting photo in Paris. And I was conducting an orchestra in Salle Gaveau. And I think that I send you the picture first because I like the blue. Let's face it, that's my preferred color in the background. But also because I thought that I was raised in France, but I arrived in London to do a master degree at the Royal College of Music when I was 18. And I've been in London for now almost 40 years, and it has become, well, my place. And so in a funny way, I think that I'm less well known in France than I'm in the UK or in other countries, which is funny. So that's why I chose this photo. This photo was taken when I was recording my piano concerto. So this is the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra. And that was my first CD with them. Now we just recorded my second CD with them. And this time it was my second cello concerto. And it's the place where we record is called Henry Wood Hall. Henry Wood was the guy that created the prompts. But it's probably one of the best halls to record music in London. And it's got a special meaning because a lot of my CDs have been done there. So I think probably I recorded maybe 8 CDs there. And we will talk about this hall again, maybe in another photo. Yes, and that's a photo with Ashkenazi. I think that for my career, he was quite pivotal. Ashkenazi, for me, Vladimir Ashkenazi, are two different people. The person that I listened to all his recordings when I was young, when I was a 6-year-old, 10-year-old, and I knew all his recordings as a pianist, And that's one person. And then there's a person that I met and personally, and it's like it's two different stories. And I've known him 20 years, and he really, really, I have got probably him to thank for the big opening of my international career. And this photo was taken in the same hall, in Henry Wood Hall. And it is not, this I think was after a recording, he recorded a CD of my music. But the first time I met him was there because I wrote to his agent. I had the feeling, I heard him talk on TV, and the way he was talking about Shostakovich, and I thought, this man is going to like my music. He's going to understand what I want to do. And so I just contacted his agent thinking, oh, probably I'm never going to hear because... But he contacted me a day after, and we had a meeting, and we really clicked. I spent 2 hours with him, and the meeting was in that hall.
Great. Wonderful.
Some
Yes.
places that I've got memories. So I always smile when I go to that place. Not only it's probably the best hall to record, fantastic acoustic. You know, acoustic that when the sound is warm, but big, and it's just, it's fantastic. And the people that work there, there's a downstairs, there's a kitchen type of thing with drinks, and everybody is nice. It's just that the place is a dream.
Oh, fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Nimrod. It's a great honor to meet you today. We're going to wrap up this dialogue, and we've learned a lot about your life and your perception of who you are and your purpose in life. It's wonderful to meet you. Thanks so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye. Wonderful. We have one more video of Nimrod to feature. It is a concerto for piano and orchestra, Opus 91, with Nimrod conducting the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra, and the soloist is Clela Iruzen. I hope I said it correct. Enjoy.
I very much like the concerto form. I think it's one of the great forms. I wanted to write a big piano concerto, big. And it's really great to do it with Clelia because we know each other for 10 years. And so it's really nice to write for friends.
I was so happy and honored when Nimrod told me he was writing a piano concerto for me. I said, oh my God, to have a piano concerto dedicated to me, because the writing is so original for the piano. You know, he explores things that I haven't seen in other piano concertos.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for watching. We wish you a wonderful rest of the summer. So long.